Today on Locked On Rockies, hey, the Rockies actually make a move.
You are Locked On Rockies, your daily Colorado Rockies podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Rock on Rockies fans, Paul Holden here from the Locked On Rockies podcast, bringing you your daily Colorado Rockies podcast right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Proud to be your first listen of the day. We are free and streaming on your favorite streaming service. All you got to do is search Locked On Rockies, and you'll be taken to where you need to go. Hey, who am I? I'm Paul Holden, your Rockies fan extraordinaire. I've been covering the team for you for about 2 seasons now and bringing you your daily Rockies podcast here for hundreds of episodes right here on the Locked On Podcast Network. Happy to be talking Rockies with you every single day on the Locked On Podcast Network. Today's episode of Locked On Rockies is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline, where the game starts. You can find us on Twitter at LO Rockies, and you can follow the show on YouTube and subscribe so you know when we are live streaming, just like we're doing right this second, so you can get your questions answered live. And that's what we are going to do today. We're going to dive into some fan questions from you all. And let's go over here to former Rockies fan Jam Braun says, reactions to the Lamet signing. Why the heck not? Probably won't be great, but this team employs Chacin and other questionable bullpen guys. And this is a move that's great for the Rockies. It comes with the DFA of Ashton Goudeau, and if you're curious, that makes sense. Both of these players have a similar WAR this season, Lamet and Goudeau, but Goudeau has Lamet has a 3 career WAR, whereas Ashton Goudeau has a negative WAR of 0.2. Lamet has been a solid pitcher for a while, and actually some people are pretty surprised that he was part of a deal. He did get a couple of Cy Young looks in 2020 in the pandemic shortened season. A little bit of injury stuff has hampered him, but this is absolutely a move the Rockies should try and make. They got that. They can adapt and hopefully get him a sinker. They can adapt to some pitch mixes. This is absolutely a move that the Rockies should make. And going from the breakdown here from Thomas Harding on MLB.com. We'll also go see what the Denver Post has to say. Looking to bolster their rotation, the Rockies claimed right-hander Dinelson Lamet, I think it's Lamet, who finished 4th in the National League Cy Young Award voting in 2020, off waivers from the Brewers this morning. The Padres sent Lamet to the Brewers at the trade deadline as part of the deal for closer Josh Hader, but Milwaukee wasn't done dealing, acquiring righty relievers Matt Bush and Trevor Rosenthal, so it judged Lamet expendable and designated firm assignment on Thursday. Multiple Rockies officials said privately on Friday that the club immediately began checking in on the situation, but declined to speak publicly. This is the second such move by Colorado this season that added to the rotation's depth. The Rockies signed right-handed veteran Jose Urena in May. Under similar circumstances as Lamet, the Brewers, set in their rotation, did not have room in their bullpen. Colorado's rotation is built around German Marquez, Kyle Freeland, and Antonio Senzatella, all of whom have had consistency issues this season, but were featured in rotations that fueled postseason trips in 17 and 18. All 3 are under multi-year contracts. To make room on the Major League roster, the Rockies designated for assignment right-hander Ashton Goudeau, who is pitching in AAA Albuquerque. The Rockies have liked Lamet since he was a teenage amateur in the Dominican Republic. Lamet was tough on the Rockies and everyone else when he posted a 2.09 ERA in 12 starts in the shortened 2020 season. However, soreness in the elbow limited him to 22 games in 2021, and he's only appeared in 13 games this year. Those who watched him closely said his slider, which has been his best pitch at times compared with the best in baseball, shows signs of a rebound before he was sent to the Brewers, which would be great. I think the Rockies getting a slider pitcher and someone that has success is a great move. This is why, for someone, if making this move comes at the result of DFAing someone like Ashton Goudeau, it's a no-brainer. I think this is something that could be really interesting for the Rockies and could add a nice little wrinkle into this bullpen. Is it going to change the outlook of the Rockies' future? No, it's not going to do anything crazy like that. But to see some stuff, there's some people that are pretty interested in coming to this team. Blake Street Banter says high velocity sinker and slider pitcher. He's used a four seamer regularly in his career, but it's an awful pitch. Batters are hitting that at a 284 clip. Probably won't start, but the Rockies need length right now. It is an interesting one. It's an interesting one. It's also, according to Blake Street Banner, the first waiver claim in over a year, the seventh since 2017. And the Rockies will be responsible for the rest of his $4.7 million salary. Hasn't been great at Coors Field in his 10 innings pitched, 6.3 ERAs when he started there. But again, Godot wasn't doing anything that taking a risk and taking a flyer and taking a chance on Dinelson here isn't going to get you. I'd rather see the Rockies go and give this player a chance, someone who has shown that they have been successful. Because when you look here, Godot got his start a little bit later, so Lamet's is older and been in the league a little bit longer, but actually the same age. The two of them, but Lamet's been in the league longer. And again, even last year, not even in the limited numbers, he did get into 22 games with 9 starts, 2-4, an ERA of 4.4, 22 walks, 57 strikeouts, in a shortened appearance. We like to see that. The whip's kind of high. But again, you're shaking off some of that injury. And if his slider is going to rebound, I think the slider is a pitch that's going to work, that should work really well at Coors Field. Breaking movement makes it harder to hit. Something that I think some of the Rockies pitchers haven't been able to use their slider, and something that I believe is arguably the best pitch, one of the best pitches in baseball, which is the slider. Some good sinking movement. The Rockies like that. They're probably going to work on that sinker as well. But so an intriguing pickup for the Rockies. Definitely don't hate it. We'll see what happens. It seems like he might be activated at some point this season. A couple of quotes here from Patrick Saunders' piece in the Denver Post here. Let's see. Dinelson has a good arm and was included in the trade package to help balance out the deal. Brewers president of baseball operations, David Stearns, told reporters on Wednesday, as subsequent transactions played out, the roster fit became a little tougher. We are hopeful we'll be able to keep him in our system. So, maybe just some speak from the heads up there of the Brewers trying to kind of just pad the situation, but clearly someone that has had success in his career and has had the eyes of some people, of players. Again, a career WAR of 3, good lines before that, Cy Young votes. We'll take it. I think this is an absolutely fine move for the Rockies here going through the rest of the season. We'll see how that pans out. Another viewer question here from the Twitter spheres, but before we dive into that, got to tell you about our friends at BlueNile.com. Whether you're ready to pop the question or you're celebrating a milestone moment, find jewelry as unique as your favorite person with the modern convenience of online shopping at BlueNile.com. You can create the diamond engagement ring or just the engagement ring of your favorite person's dreams over at BlueNile.com. Blue Nile has simple online tools to let you choose the diamond shape, size, and clarity, as well as the setting style. Blue Nile's bench jewelers will then handcraft the perfect engagement ring. Each ring is one of a kind. And if you're looking for fine jewelry but having trouble choosing, well, I'd be right there with you, everyone. Blue Nile has jewelry experts on hand 24/7. Available on the phone or the chat to help you find a memorable gift at every budget. Make your moment sparkle with jewelry from BlueNile.com. And going on now is the Blue Nile Anniversary Sale, where you can save up to 40% on classic fine jewelry pieces and 25% on engagement ring settings. Plus, every order is insured, ships free, and arrives in discreet packaging that won't give away what's inside. Shop stress-free and find your forever piece. Go to BlueNile.com today. Heading back over to the Twitter sphere, and this is another question we got from our awesome audience. Halen _2112 says, what is the best case scenario for the rest of the season for the Rockies? Well, the best case scenario for the Rockies is they are a thorn in the side of everyone in the NL West, and they play the NL West well. If the Rockies are able to play winning baseball against these good teams, it does make you feel a little bit better about some of the pieces of this team that can go up against some of these teams. However, what you really should be looking to is players of the future, players that will be impacting the Rockies. And that's headlined by Luis Montero. A good best case scenario for the Rockies in this second stretch of the season is Montero gets consistent playing time and plays well, or well enough. There's again, it's fine if he's in here and there's some struggles, he's up and he's down, as long as he is in the lineup consistently, like we spent yesterday talking about. That's a step in the right direction for the Rockies. You have to make sure that you are understanding where you're at in this current season, which is in a tough spot when it comes to your competitive window. So what do? Focus on things that you can improve on for next year, because you didn't want to do it in terms of the trading and that movement. So Montero getting consistent playing time and playing well, and that adds on with if Servin can can get his offense kicked up and continue to be consistent, and he can be a contributor on offense. In addition to Elias Diaz having another strong second half, that helps and bodes well for the Rockies as well. Servin, catchers, very tough position for the Rockies. And very tough position to see what you got. The Rockies have very exciting catching prospects in the future. So at this point, we don't necessarily need to go too crazy, but the Rockies do want to get a good sign, and a good best case scenario for the Rockies is good catcher play as well. And another thing, too, is that Ryan McMahon continues his hot streak and gets into a better rhythm. I think, Ryan McMahon he's in a tough spot. And I hope I'm not messing my audio up here by moving my cord. But Ryan McMahon's been in tough spots in this season. He's made some tremendous plays. He's had some big hits. He came up big in the game against the Padres yesterday to avoid the sweep. He's someone the team loves. He's someone that is beloved in that clubhouse. But a good second half, a good couple months for Ryan McMahon also is a best case scenario. Another big thing that would be major is you see the starters have good starts to finish out the season. And especially with someone like Kyle Freeland, you can kind of start to see that. Kyle, he was betrayed by his defense, also saved by his defense a little bit yesterday as well, where he kind of had both things happen. But we're starting to see Kyle have some good starts in a row. Exactly what you're looking for. If the starting pitching for the Rockies can take steps in the right direction and show signs of improvement instead of regression, that's going to be a good thing for the Rockies. For example, Kyle Freeland's last 4 starts have ended up in wins for the Rockies, with with 3 of those games being less than 3 runs scored in that entire game. He's also hitting a new total in pitch counts. He's hitting a new total in where he's going to go. He's also got a sub-4 ERA away from home, and has an opportunity here to continue that against the Diamondbacks. So someone like Kyle Freeland continuing to take steps in the right direction is a good thing. He's seeing a nice increase in strikeouts. He's keeping the walks down in his last 7 days for Kyle Freeland. 13 strikeouts compared to the 4 walks in the 2 games over 11 innings pitched. 12 hits for 5 earned runs and only 1 home run allowed. So those are the type of things you're wanting to see from Kyle Freeland. And, the other person you're wanting to see take steps forward is German Marquez. German it hasn't been quite as good. There's been some interesting situations. He just hasn't been that consistency. But a best case good thing for the Rockies, starters. The bullpen is a different story. That you have plenty of other things that you got to address there. There's a lot of weird things. But we need to see the rotation move forward instead of backwards. So to answer Hayden's question of best case scenarios for the Rockies, the pitching staff takes steps forward. The Rockies turn to some of their young guys and turn to some of these players that need to and some of these players step up and guide this team. And of course, the Chris Bryant's plantar fasciitis isn't as bad. That he gets back sooner rather than later, and he finishes strong and somewhat healthy for the year and avoids a 4th stint on the IL. And speaking of the IL, Chad Kuhl heads to the IL with some hip flexor. With a right hip flexor strain. And that's going to be retroactive to August 4th. And so he's going to be on the 15-day injured list. So that could mean as well, Denilson could be in a starting role for the Rockies here to make up for Cool. It'll be interesting to see if Gomber is going to come out of the bullpen. That's usually what the Rockies will turn to as they bring Austin Gomber back in and have him filled in for there. But Cool clearly has not been right since his good start to the season. He is, as the pun says, cooled off quite a bit. And so he would be part of it. A good, healthy return for Cool and a good return to form for him. So that would kind of be my guess of what a best case scenario for the Rockies are. They still can win 70 games this year. I think that is definitely doable. It's going to be tough, obviously, as we talked about with the really tough schedule this year for the Rockies, but who knows? There's plenty of baseball left, and it hasn't been good since the end of or since the All-Star break. But some things to like to. Another thing to keep your eye on, keep watch for is if Charlie Blackmon continues to swing the bat well. That's another great sign for the Rockies if they have someone that fans can love and see what he's going out there and how he's performing. So those are kind of your best case scenarios for the Rockies. And let's take a look at what's going to go on tonight here. His first pitch is just a couple hours away. But before we do that, let me dive into the folks that make this show possible. And that includes betonline.net, the fastest and easiest way to check in on all your betting needs. Find all your favorite sports scores and events on the number one online source for odds, lines, and games. Find reviews and news of every league, including Major League Baseball, NFL, NBA, NHL, combat sports, esports, and even golf. BetOnline continues to be the top online resource for all your sports wagering information, from live in-game betting, scores, and podcasts. They have you covered. Head to BetOnline today or use your mobile device to head to betonline.net to learn more about the action happening today. That's BetOnline, where the game starts. Rockies are in Arizona tonight as they look to continue their fight out of the NL West basement and string something together as they just suffered 5 straight losses. Actually, what is that? Five straight losses at the hand of the division leader Dodgers and Padres there. Colorado does have more wins than Arizona this year, but a few more losses. So season for this, or a win in a series this weekend will help the Rockies get out of the basement of the NL West and approach their 50th win this year. Man, it's just been the Rockies have me so exhausted this week that I can't even be excited about this Arizona Rockies series. But the battle for the basement continues here. The matchup tonight is German Marquez versus Madison Bumgarner, a matchup of a couple years ago that really would have been must-see TV and knock your socks off. But two pitchers that I think want to continue to make a statement for themselves. I think both of them having years that hasn't been great for them. Pretty similar looks in terms in some stats there. Bumgarner has the lower ERA and less strikeouts, but similar walk rates, similar home run numbers, similar amount of hits, and similar amount of innings. The only thing is Marquez has been better at the strikeout than Madison Bumgarner, so maybe the edge there for the Rockies tonight. And the Diamondbacks are on that home winning streak as well. A 3-game win streak is alive on the line right now for when they take on the Rockies. 27-27 record at home for the D-backs. So, the Rockies got most of their lineup intact here. Chris Bryant, the only option not available for the Rockies tonight. We'll see what happens. Blackmon, Iglesias, Cron, Rogers, Grichuk, Diaz, Daza, Joe, Montero. The lineup, at least according to ESPN right now, with Rojas, Thomas, Marte, Walker, Varsho, McCarthy, Beer, Kelly, and Perdomo making up the Arizona lineup here. Should be a pretty good little Friday game there in the desert. I'm excited to see what the Rockies and German Marquez can do here against the Diamondbacks and see what they can do again to bounce back after that really tough stretch. And on the road, too, a nice little road series win would be good for the Rockies, especially in the division. And we will see what new pitcher Dinelson Lamet means for the Rockies going forward. Folks, that is going to do it for today's episode of Locked On Rockies. Hope you all enjoyed the show today. Thank you all for tuning in and hanging out with us here on the Locked On Rockies podcast. We are free and streaming on your favorite streaming service. All you got to do is just search Locked On Rockies. You can also find us on YouTube and pop into the live chat and ask your questions live here on the Locked On Rockies podcast. Also, follow the show on Twitter at LO Rockies. Follow me, Paul Holden, at Paul Holden 33. And until next time, this is Paul Holden saying so long from the Locked On Rockies podcast.